Today we're going to make a Swedish torch and a camp stove. This project begins with a trip up to New Hampshire to collect some logs. My friends over at ACURA hooked me up with a fully loaded MDX, and it was really nice to get out of the city on one of the first warm days of the spring. We visited a property that belongs to a friend of mine that has a pretty substantial forest on it. Everything was pretty muddy and wet from rain and snow melt, but we did a little bit of off-roading anyways. I was looking for a fallen tree that wasn't totally rotted. I didn't want to cut down a live tree just to use as fuel. After a little bit of hiking and exploring, I found a good candidate and broke out my 40-volt electric chainsaw and started to go to work. This fallen tree was wedged between a couple of other trees and therefore was off the ground and relatively dry. Carrying the logs back to the road was a pretty good workout, and next time I'll probably try to pick a tree that's a little bit closer. I trimmed the logs so that the ends would be nice and straight before cutting a cross pattern into the top. I had read that hybrid rocket stove and Swedish torch combinations work best, so I drilled a 1-inch diameter hole through the side of the log and into where the cross cuts meet at the middle of the log. I had recently changed out all my circular saw blades, so I took this miter saw blade and used my angle grinder to cut a bunch of slots into it. I cut the teeth off of the saw because I decided, well, a hot piece of metal is dangerous enough by itself. Probably don't need sharp little teeth on it as well. I used a 40 grit flap disc to smooth over the edges of the saw blade. I cut 4 of the slots in the blade wide enough so that I can insert some nuts and bolts into them. These are going to use to hold the grill up off of the log and also act as guides so that as the log burns, the grill will stay centered over it. I used shop scraps and some old chopsticks as kindling to start the fire. I just laid these sticks at the bottom of the cross cuts and then fed a little bit of them through the hole that I drilled through the side. Now I had thrown this log into the kiln to fully dry it after I cut the cross cuts, so it burned really easily. I placed the grill over the top and tested it out on a steak. The steak was great, but it was a little bit more on the medium side than the medium rare side, which is what I prefer. I also experimented frying eggs in a cast iron skillet directly over the Swedish torch. This worked well in terms of the cooking, but because the pan doesn't have any vents in it, it kind of pushed the smoke all around and all over the place. So it was a little bit inconvenient to get smoke in your face while you're cooking. In retrospect, I probably should have cut more slots to allow more air to flow through the grill, and that way I could put the pan directly on top of it. I was surprised at how much consistent, steady heat this device provided. Also, the top of the log stayed relatively intact. I could have easily gotten over 2 hours of cooking out of this one 11-inch diameter pine log. I know this project is a little bit different from what I normally produce, but I grew up doing a lot of camping and hiking, and it was really fun to get out of the workshop, explore around, collect some new materials, and try some different things. The sponsorship with ACURA has been a lot of fun, and it reminded me how important it is to break your routine sometimes and get out and just see new things. It is, however, coming to an end soon, so if you'd like to see more of this type of content, let me know in the comment section below, and also give me some ideas for some of the places that you think I might travel to. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out some of our other videos, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Thanks. Bye.